Hi, I'm Marilyn from Pattern Society and welcome to the final part of our Pattern Remix Challenge. Just a recap on what this challenge is all about. I take my simple shift dress pattern that's free for you to download and show you how to adjust the pattern into 3 different neckline styles, 3 different sleeve style options, and also how to draft 3 different silhouette options from this single pattern. Now, after you've learned how to do all those adjustments, you'll have an endless amount of style possibilities for this dress. Okay, so let's get going. In this lesson, I am going to show you how to take our simple shift dress pattern and create a sheath silhouette style by adding waist darts to our pattern. Now, this is a very nice and simple pattern to do this exercise with. Basically, we have 6 inches ease in our waist, and for a sheath silhouette, you'll typically have only about 1 inch ease. So that means that we've got 5 inches left that we are going to divide between our 4 waist darts. 2 darts in the front and 2 darts in the back. Now, generally you want your back darts to be slightly wider than your front, just because you want a bit more shaping. Our calculation is quite simple. It's 5 inches we need to divide. So we are going to make our front darts 1 inch wide and our back darts 1.5 inches wide. That gives us 3 inches in the back and 2 in the front, which makes up our 5 inches ease that we are dumping in our waist darts. So it's very simple. We don't need to add anything to the waist. We are just drawing in our waist darts, and I'll show you how to do that now. Okay, once again I'm using a Sharpie so that it just shows up better, but like I say in each lesson, you'll be using a pencil so that you can erase any mistakes that you might make. Well, I still make a lot of mistakes as well, but yeah, it's always better to do it in pencil. Okay, so you can see that I traced my dress here and that I also drew a line to indicate my waist seam. We are going to cut this apart, but it's just much easier to draw it in while your bodice and skirt are still attached to each other. Okay, so from my center front, and this is relevant to all sizes, you are going to come in 4 inches, and while your ruler is still in place here, like I mentioned before, we're going to do a 1 inch wide dart in the front, so you can just go ahead and mark it now, 1/2 inch on each side. That gives me a 1 inch dart. Okay, then I'm measuring up. Just make sure you're drawing a straight line. 6 inches. That's the height of my dart. And then I'm just hooking up those 1/2 inch marks I made with that new dart point. And that's it for your front bodice. Okay, and your skirt, we're using these same marks as a reference because we want the bodice and the skirt to match up, but the only difference here is we're only marking down 4 inches for the skirt dart, and then also hooking it up. Okay, and when you're going to sew this up, it's going to take that extra ease from your waist and make the dress a bit more figure hugging. And then since we're doing a sheath silhouette, you'll also want to taper in your skirt slightly. I'm just going to keep the length as is for this exercise, but obviously at this point you can adjust the length of your skirt as well. Maybe even make it a bit longer. That's also a very nice and classy look, but yeah, let's just keep it at the original length. So I'm just drawing in my hemline, just making sure it's a straight line. Okay, and for a sheath style dress, you'll be coming in 2 inches at the hemline, and then you'll just hook it up with your hip mark over there. That's why it's always important to transfer all your markings from your pattern, and you'll just blend it from there. And that's your new skirt shape. So this is it for your front sheath dress. Obviously you can adjust the neckline any way that you want, like I showed you in the previous lessons, and then also add the sleeve of your choice. So this is very nice and versatile to create a lot of different styles. This is the front. You'll be doing exactly the same at the back. The only difference is your dart lengths will just be a bit different. So I'll just write it down for you. The front here is 6 inches, and yeah, front 6 inches. And if you're going to do the back, it's going to be 7.5 inches. And your skirt dart is going to be 4.5 inches. Sorry, I wrote something wrong here. It's 4 inches and 4.5 inches. And with both your front and your back, you're coming in 4 inches from your center front and 4 inches in from your center back at the back. And then your skirt, you're adjusting exactly the same way at the back. Just remember that this is quite a tapered skirt, so you'll definitely want to put in a slit on the side or at the back. Okay, that's it for our sheath silhouette. You'll then be cutting this apart to have a separate bodice and skirt pattern. Just remember to add 1/2 inch seam allowance to the bottom of this bodice at the waistline, and the same with the skirt. I like to, if I decide to add the seam allowance once the pattern is on my fabric, I like to just write here, add seam allowance, and the same with the skirt. Alternatively, you can cut it apart and then just trace it on a new piece of paper again and add your seam allowance so that your seam allowance is included in your actual